take up your Shabbat. And I know most of you might have been into some studies already today. Um, but I wanted to, the questions had come, and Elaine and I and the family, um, we've been doing this calendar for the last 3 years. Let me first say, it is not rocket science. Um, Let me say it again for the folk in the back. It is not rocket science, right? So if the father told us to teach our children this, right? When we read the Shema, you know, we read the Shema and he tell you to talk to your children. Okay, that means the children should be able to understand, right? So it's not like that. Nabi, how are you? Shalom, shalom. Oh, everybody, right quick. We just want to take some time to acknowledge that they are cloning humans. Pignonia is Nabiya's child, and as you can see, they are the same person. She's been here twice. Okay. just want to put that out there. Notice the obvious. All right. Okay, let me start this presentation here. All right. My sound good, y'all? All right. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if my sound is good. All right. Okay, y'all. So here we're talking about, let me change that because I can't see y'all's faces and see any of the reaction. If somebody raised their hand, I'm gonna go through all of that here in a minute. And we'll come back to it. Let me see what I'm sharing. All right. The calendar conversation, everybody. The calendar conversation. All right. So y'all, we're talking about y'all's feast days. Oh, hold on a minute. We got somebody else. All right. The woman who birthed me into this wretched world just showed up. Everybody, show us some love. All right. Okay,
Shalom,
so
shalom.
yes. All right, so the calendar conversation, Yah's feast days. I put on there also his love language. Can you say his love language? Because that's what it is. Now, just to go over real quick, the what we're gonna be doing today. Our objective today is to show you how to develop the calendar and to share some resources that I use to document the calendar. And just we're gonna go through it step by step. We're gonna be utilizing the resources. I'm gonna show you how to use those resources to develop your, to do your calendar. All right. And then our objective is we're gonna go into why is Yahuwah's calendar important, right? And then after that, we're going to explore Torah, the Apocrypha, and the letters for guidance. Now, at any point, once you learn how to, well, let me go to the next slide because it's in there, just so y'all know. If you don't have a pen and paper, you might want to get a pen and paper because, again, this is interactive um, uh, how-to presentation and everything. So it's not about debating, but I'm just going to present some information. And if we want to come back and bring and provide some more information, then we could do that. Now, one thing I will say on a level is never to be married to a particular thing, because Yah is opening up and he's allowing a lot of things to come into fruition. However, I will say regarding this particular calendar, I've seen it. I know when the time is changed. And matter of fact, he gives you a check at the beginning of every cycle. Okay, a gate. Let me go back to this right here. Okay, so you see the 364. You see the spring, summer, autumn, or fall, and the winter. We just entered winter in December, right? So you see that one little slot where it says the winter solstice? Yeah, you see those little, is each one, the vernal equinox, the summer solstice, and the autumn equinox. Equinox is what it says, it's equal, the equal piece, equal day and night, so on and so forth, and everything. And there are some changes that happen during each one. Now, the solstice, one is greater than the other. Okay. So the darkness is greater in the winter solstice. The light is greater in the summer solstice, meaning there's more day than there is night. Okay. The equinoxes is the equal is when it changes, when the day becomes the greater, right? And then the autumn is when the night starts its cycle of becoming the greater. Okay. So, well, I'll wait till I get there because I'll be getting ahead of myself. But anyway, so that's our purpose. It's a how-to presentation, and it's not a debate or whatnot. We want to have respect because we want to be obedient to Torah and to Messiah when he talked about in Matthew 5 about how we engage with each other, right? And Matthew 18 too, that if I offend anybody who is, believer in Messiah and following his commandments, that the angels are going to go before Yah and tell on me, right? I don't need nobody's angel going to say nothing about Johnson, but good stuff. Understand? We good? We good. All right. The next thing is we can use the Zoom reactions. The Zoom reactions are there, like lifting up hands. If you have a question, you want to, have a comment or something, you can do that. Raise your hands, use the reactions. If something is fire, use the fire. If something is thumbs up, use the thumbs up. Do your thing. Okay, interact. And when you share or whatnot, kiss. Now, because of what I just said earlier about what the Messiah said in Matthew 5 regarding how we deal with each other and how we speak to each other, I didn't say keep it simple, stupid. Y'all may have heard it said, keep it simple, stupid. I said, keep it simple, shout it. All right. So stay on topic, just stay on topic. And it could be I think that, we can really learn from each other, as a collective effort. And number 3, lastly, I'm nobody's moray. Matthew 23 is clear to me. This is not a service. You can leave when you want to leave, and ask questions. Be involved, get involved, learn by doing. Okay. So that's the atmosphere we want to have. And that is the what we're looking to do. Now, it's key why I said that about leaving when you want to or whatnot, because these are the 3 phases of how we're going to be going through this. We're going to do the how-to. And that's going to be the 1, 2, 3 of it all. All right. We're going to use the tools that we have that I'm going to share with you to do your days and make it easy for you. Because I'm telling you, when you try to count on a calendar with your eyes, it's something else. And it's easy to miss something, to overcount, so on and so forth. So there's a tool that's going to do that. Then we're going to get into the why. Why is it this important, and that's going to be a group conversation. Okay. So we get into the why Yahuwah's feast days and everything, because I know those who have come through the awakening and you've seen the way things have been done, you know, there's a lot of claims, a lot of so-called receipts and so on and so forth. And it's been a contentious situation with the calendar, right? Well, we're not gonna get into that. And a lot of times they come with the lies first. But like one of my daughters told me, she worked at the bank, and she said they never teach you the counterfeit. They don't show you the counterfeit. She said they show you the real bill, the true bill, and a counterfeit will be exposed. And in the awakening, man, them hella days, yeah, it's them hella days. We was in it too. So the way we gonna shift that is that we gonna focus on what we're supposed to do. Because right now at this time, I ain't got time. I gotta sweep around my own front door, right? Before I try to sweep around yours, right? So this is so that we have the oil in our lamps for when the bridegroom comes. Then we're going to get into the textual exploration, and that's the Torah, that's the writings, that's the letters, and we're going to get into the Apocrypha. Okay? Yeah. We're going to get into the Apocrypha. Now, that can go a little while. So again, that's why I say this is not a service. When you got what you need, peace, Shabbat Shalom in the chat, and peace be unto you. Right? Don't feel guilty. It's according to what you want to learn, because this is about your soul salvation. All right, y'all ready to get into it? Put it in the chat. 100. Let's get it. So before we get started, because sometimes we have new folks to the way that come in. I want to be clear as far as what having shared meaning. We use Yahuwah. You're gonna hear me say Abba Yah. I could have put that in there too. Abba Yah, so on and so forth. But understanding where that comes from is most known as God. If you do an etymological study on etymology.com, you will see where that word came from. So I'm not going to go into all of that, because I want to just spark you to get you to study and to show thyself approved. Understand? All right. And then we're going to talk about the feast days. We're going to talk about the feast and Moed, because that's part of why we need to know when the calendar starts and how we going to flow, because it is what? An appointed time. It is an appointment. You ever go to the doctor and don't see him? You go to the doctor for an appointment so you can see him, right? In the news, here lately about the church doing the surf and swag and walking it out and so on and so forth and everything. And everybody was talking about the building. You can't do that in the building. Don't be doing that. Don't desecrate the house of your God. What? He dwells in buildings not made with hands. It should have been more concerned about the people and the heart for the people, right? But anyway, so the Moed's appointed place, appointed time, a meeting, an appointment, fixed time or season. So it's a difference between the Kav, feast, a festival, a feast, a festival gathering, a pilgrim. See, the pilgrimage piece is when you're going to, and later on when we get into the textual context, you're going to notice some things. Okay, spoiler alert, I can't hold it. Listen, all your gospels, they was getting together around the feast days. That's why the writer would tell you, and it was about the time of Passover, that the Messiah went such and such and what a not, and these things happen. Think about it. He was a carpenter. He had to eat too. And everybody think about the purse and them ladies that went around with him and they gave. Well, if you go and study the tithe and when you go and study all of the offerings, yeah, they was during the feast days, you showed up with that stuff. Okay. One of the other things, cool things about the feast days is the miracles. That's why he was like, why y'all tripping on the Shabbat? When a person is healed, it's supposed to be healing on the Shabbat. That should be the captives being set free on the Shabbat. All of this stuff is supposed to be happening. We hadn't even scratched the surface on what's supposed to be happening on the Shabbat. Matters are judged on the Shabbat. It's not just a run around, give him your praise. It wasn't about, and you still going out defeated. Come on now. No. Okay, but look at it. A pilgrim feast as festive or orchestrated, not disorderly. So them praise breaks, folk falling out in the flow. If anybody watched Church Last, Minnie Lane love to watch. That's one of the things we like to do, watch Church Last, and we see some of the stuff that they done reduced a mighty Elohim who was over a government to a shuffling of the feet. Anyway, so the next piece, Hagag, to hold a feast, hold a festival, make a pilgrimage, keep a pilgrimage or feast, celebrate, dance, or stagger. Okay, block parties. That is literally how I see block parties, right? So we mixing those two up, the Kag and the Hagag, together. But one is not disorderly. One is specific, and these things happen, right? So anyway, but we're not going to go deep into that. Again, this is just a how-to, and we going to look at our why we do what we do, and we're going to come back into looking at the text so that you understand that you're living, you know what we always say, the Father seeks those to worship him in spirit and in truth. When it said Aaron was at the door of the tent and he worshiped, he wasn't, no, he bowed down. So we're going to worship him in spirit and in truth. We got to know the language. We got to understand the language. I'm not saying you got to try to speak it because, understand what it means, right? So that you can live in spirit and in truth. All right? So everybody ready? All right. This is all you got to do. These are the three things. Identify the beginning of the year. Count 30 days twice. Then count 31 days. And then repeat it 3 more times. All right. I'll see y'all later. Shabbat shalom. No, I'm joking. But for real, though, you find the day. So let's go to the resources right quick. I'm not gonna come to the why yet, but that is let me go over to the resources, and we gonna look at now. This is one of the resources. But before I come here, let's go to the almanac. You can see the almanac right there. Let me go on and put it in the chat. I'm gonna put the almanac in the chat. Oh, Dawn said, "Hey, sister," she did a direct message. It came to me, girl. All right, so that's the almanac, y'all. So again, you got your pen and paper. Write this down. Go to that almanac, and here is where you can discuss. It's a lot of stuff in this almanac, y'all. Up here, weather, gardening, moon and sun, understanding some things, because there are some, and we're not, again, this is not a deep dive, but there are some things that there is a calendar regarding the moon. Okay. Now for the Yah's holy feast days, you don't base that on the moon. It's not based on. I've been through that whole calendar of going by the moon, and that has the Shabbat all over the place. That had a Shabbat all on Wednesday of this particular calendar, because truth be told, y'all, and this just to give a little history on the back end of it, when I recognized that it was the first, I came across a video from a brother who talked about the moon, the moon calendar was off as far as setting Yah's feast days. He came with receipts, historical receipts, because Rome took on the calendar of the Yahudim. And when I say Yahudim, because Hebrew is not it. Hebrew is and that's reasons. We get into, we can get into that for those who don't know. But the Yahudim, the Israelites, for sake of terminology, the Israelite calendar, they assumed that 7-day week. And in the Strategematicon was a book of all of Rome's exploits and how they went and conquered different places and who went up the ladder and who got all of this, these accolades, and who conquered this and who conquered that, and everything, and titles and all of these different things. And you'll see when you read that particular book, you see that our current model of Christianity is a Roman mindset and not a true biblical mindset. So because the Messiah said that, one, this is how the heathens govern. It shouldn't be named among you that you govern the way they do, right? And it tells us not to lord it over Yah's inheritance. And the Messiah told us you don't govern like they do. Okay. So, but anyway, that's that about the moon and all that other good stuff. But you're finding, when you set the calendar, when you find for the first time, when you find equal parts day and equal parts night, we'll get into the why later. Equal parts day and equal parts night. When you find that, that's when you know things are shifting. And from that, your first day, you start making your calendar. You start counting then. And so when we did this several years ago, we noticed that we landed in the same area 364 days later. So here is the almanac. And in the almanac, you can put where you are and you put that date in. Now, what's interesting, even with them saying that you put this up, because you got to understand that this internet is something else. Because the first time we did the calendar and we looked for the equinox, okay, we understood Enoch 72, right? Enoch 72 tells you about the cycle of the luminaries, what we just went over, right? So here are you guys seeing the almanac? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. All right. So we Googled. You know what? Let me just do that for you. So I can show you better. I can tell you. Right. So watch what they do when I put in equinox 2024. Boom. Watch what it's going to tell me. Now, y'all just saw what was equal parts day and equal parts night. Y'all see this? The almanac done told you. Look here. Y'all see 731 to 730. That's bottom line. That's the closest you're going to get. Equal parts day, equal parts night, right? And it's on the 13th of and that's a Wednesday of March. But watch what they tell me in here. Oh, not the Chevy equinox. Come on now. Hold on, man. Spring equinox day. Let's see what they say. That's a week later. Now, how is it going to be? Now, we looking at the almanac. Matter of fact, we can go and look. Well, let me just go right here. It said that that Joker was gonna change dates and times. And y'all know who I mean about the Joker, right? That the enemy, the beast, was gonna change dates and times. Putting it on the 20th lines up with their calendar for Easter and not Pesach, not the actual Pesach. Again, it puts you a week behind. We know in Jubilee. Okay, I'm going all into the text. Which one is closer? Anybody? You can unmute. Which one is closer?
March 13th.
Hands down. That's a whole 11 minutes difference. And we down to 1 minute on March. $7:31, $7:30. So when you go and look for stuff, understand that the system is based on its system. You gotta, verify, right? All right. So that's the resource there. Now, to do this is the how-to. So to discover your dates, you put in. We'll do a couple of months together. Okay. You got this is where your pen and paper come in place too. Okay. Put in March 13th. You see, I got March 13th, 2024. I went here and I say I want to add. Is that big enough for everybody to see? All right. I say add. And I say how many I want to add. I want to add 30. Right? Then I do calculate. I done calculated it already, but for the sake of you guys seeing that ain't no trickeration going on. All right. It shows you the 30 days. Okay. The start date is the 30. I mean, it's the 13th onto the 12th. All right. Now, so when is your new month? Your new month starts on April the 13th, right? So now I'm going to go up here and do April the 13th. And I'm going to still add 30 days. So going on and put second month is April the 13th. The first month is 3/13. The second month is 4/13. Now, to not go off into the deepness of that, that is a high Shabbat because that's a new month and a weekly Shabbat. So that's a different type of Shabbat. All right, so I done calculated it. Oh no, I didn't. Thought I did. That's gonna take us to May 13th. So the new month of the third month is Elaine's birthday. Shameless plug. 5/14. You forgot your birthday, baby? No, the third month, May 14th is your new month. Okay. Now, this being that this is the start of the new month, May 14th, we got to make a change. Oh, Elaine is trying to get me to tell y'all her cash out for her birthday. We ain't even there yet, baby. So now I'm gonna change 5 to 514. Now I can do it from here too. You know, I can hit 514. Be easy. I just want to show you all the ways you can do it. And then I'm gonna do 31 days. Because remember, you count 30 days twice, then the second one you do 31 days. All right, 31 days. Calculate now. That's going to take me to June 14th, the 4th month. All right. So you see how simple that is? That is simple. And you just repeat the process. That's the how-to. 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. That is how you get your calendar. Right? Now, that's just setting up your day. Now that you know what's the first month, the first month, which is Abib, right? You know the second month, third month, fourth month, and so on and so forth. Now you go in and you go to your scriptures. We're not going to do that just yet. We're going to go into the why. Everybody clear on that? Anybody got questions regarding that? Okay, I see your hand, Nibia. Come on to the mic.
No, I'm trying. Okay, there you go. Okay. I'm like, I can't find it. Okay, so 30, 31, 31. That's because we believe that too. So on that 31st day should be the true summer solstice. And for the summer solstice, how does it, to look at it, how is the day supposed to be for that to be the true summer solstice?
So what is going to be, and see what's interesting. and see, you trying to take me deep. See, so the summer solstice is when the day is its greatest. It's the most. Now, Enoch divided the day, the time of day, not in 24 hours. He divided in 18 parts. And what's interesting, why he does that, is it's divisible by 369. And I don't want to go into that because it's a lot. I want to go into our why and keep it on this basic entry level. But the in Enoch 72, he talks about what that actually looks like as far as the day is greater to its maximus. I want to say, we gonna read it here in a little bit. We're gonna read it here when we get into the textual piece. But it is the greatest. The day is the greatest, and the night is the shortest, right? Because matter of fact, let's see what day we came up with on the
June 14th.
June 14th. Let's look here.
Yeah, on your calendar, the June 14th would be the summer solstice.
Yeah. So $14 hours of daylight over, let me see, nautical twilight. No, that's the astronomical twilight. So that's the twilight. So out of the 24, so it was 10 hours,
Mhm.
10 hours of night. So it's greater. But I'm telling you now, the whole 369 thing,
Mhm.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with this term that science said was the finger of Yah. It is a pattern that is repeated in plants, repeated in, so you know how the petals of a rose
Right.
goes up, 369. They even talk about galaxies and how galaxies are in that spiral. The the spiral in a shell of
Mhm.
like snails and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's seen in the when you look at DNA,
Mhm.
the spiral 369. I mean, it's everywhere. This calculation is everywhere. And two, um, because like even in sevens, we're talking in the textual exploration, we'll talk about how Yah does things in sevens, and so on and so forth. So that 369, the day that Enoch divided it into,
Mhm.
is equally divisible by all those numbers. And two, when you're dealing with the times and dates, like even the Shabbats and years, everything needs to be divisible by 7. Because he has, when anybody has read Jubilees or listened to Jubilees, in weeks of years, right? When he says weeks of year, or even when you look at the time, and even going into the 49 years, and then that 50 year, that year of release, right? Or even when, because even this Roman system says that they annihilate your credit. Where do you think they got that from? They're not supposed to, swipe your credit clean 7 years that your stuff is on your credit. Where they got that from? But the Jubilees were set times, orchestrated times. Now that's something in the awakening that's not talked about a lot. And I have some research on it, but we won't get into all those parts of the calendar just yet. This is just a quick how to, and like I said, quick how to. That's what it was, a quick how to show how simple it is to put that piece together and know those days, know the days that um, um, that we develop the rest of the calendar. Okay. So, but this is a resource here, the almanac. Let me see. I didn't put that in the chat. I put the almanac in the chat, and I'm going to put, this is the time and date, so you can bookmark that and have that in your internet browser to be able to look. Again, this is a part of studying to show yourself approved, right? All right. So the why. I'm gonna stop sharing real quick and give me the Cliff Notes version of why we need to know his appointed times and his days. Why do you want to know it? Why do you? Anybody, popcorn style, anybody.
So we can be in tune with Yahuwah. We want to serve him, like you said, in spirit and in truth. And part of that truth is doing it at the time that it's supposed to be done for me.
Yes. Sounds good. Anybody else? Okay, Lane is off the side.
Well, for me is we're going through his commandments, and he is exact and specific on his commandments. And if he is exact and specific on his commandments, then he's exact and specific on his feast days. the seventh day you shall rest as a Sabbath, and it shall be unto you. He is specific about his commands, and to study the dates and those kinds of things is that it's a matter of order, being in order with what his word says. Being off a week is off a week. It's not exactly. So it's being exact as he gives it to us, versus a man's interpretation. So that's kind of the House of Kayim's position, is that we want to be exact.
He said the House of Kayim. He said like that's a place you want to visit. The House of Kayim. Okay. Y'all got some braised lamb chops or something over there or something? I guess come and go there, the place you go and eat. The House of Kayim. Okay. They eat that word. Anybody else as far as their why? And just according to really being true where you at.
Pretty much like everyone else said, to be on time for the appointment. For me, is to be on time for the appointment.
Hands down, hands down. Okay. Food, beans. What the rest of my. All right. So we got this. We'll go back in. All right. So that was the group conversation there. All right. So I shared this with some of my family members. Oh, is the answer in the chat? Well, what did I do in my chat? All right. The answer in the chat is if Yah is creator and numbered the days, he has a set time for his visitation. Where have we seen that at? What would y'all say we've seen the adherence to those set times? Anybody? Go ahead.
The Moed, because it has that there are 3 times that we are appointed times that we must come before Yahuwah. So,
Right. But I mean, when do we see it per se lived out? Like a particular instance that happened in the scripts, whether it be the writings or whatever, or in the letters. Anybody think of one? I got one in mind.
Drop it, Doc.
Okay, so remember when Jacob was fighting with Yah, right? He was and the angel said, I must go. Day breaketh, I got to go. When you couple that with the Messiah getting up early in the morning for prayer, because there was heavens, and then to connect that, fulfill that whole circle of thought. In Jubilees, I love it when Jubilees, the angels was talking, and he was saying, and they will have Shabbat with us. So literally, what is done when we pray and say, may your kingdom, what's done on earth is done in heaven, and in heaven is done on earth, right? That's the same. That was just a beautiful instance where it shows when the you know, that there's appointed times. He knew he had to leave. Even in Matthew 18, when he say that they are the angels go before is before Yah's face on a daily basis, on a regular basis, or whatnot. Yeah, they had a shifts. When he saw the ladder, when he saw the angels coming down, they had a shift. He said, I gotta go clock out. You know, we see those moments are the moments when the water is stirred up. It said the water was stirred up annually. That was during a feast day. When the person jumps in to get healed, that just wasn't random. Remember, we said Carl was a day. It was orderly. Basically, it was intentional, and this is, you know, it was not disorderly. No, this is happening, and this is gonna happen on a regular basis. So, yeah, that's that piece. There's a bunch of other instances where we see it actually happening, and see that there were times because of somebody's faith, they went beyond that moment. Like with the woman who had the son died, and the husband like, you going to the man? It ain't Shabbat or new moon or a feast day. You know, we still have access. We can still push through or whatnot. But yeah, those were things that were, you know, speaks to the appointed times. So, but I sent this, and I chose this one on purpose. Say it again. Okay, come on, Nabia, I didn't see it. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say the Bible also speaks about the sun and the moon having an appointed time as well as
Yes.
to when it moves. So yeah, we see it all through the scriptures on all so many different levels of what it is that when he says there's a set time, he even talks about the earth itself being set, and how the sun and the moon have set times to be in set places at different times according to his will. So yeah, we see that a lot through all, just to kind of land back on what you were saying.
Hands down. But I chose this one right here because one of the things that we're going to see when we're talking about, when we start going into the textual context of the calendar and the feast days, understand that the whole world, this is practice for us. When it says a shadow of things to come, that means that it's coming. That's one of the reasons why it's important, is because this is what's fixing to go down. This is what's about to happen. And in the kingdom to come, I'm not talking about the 1,000-year reign. I'm talking about when the earth is renewed through fire, and the new Jerusalem, the people have come who was under the altar saying, when you gonna get this done? When they all come down and rule the earth, Zephaniah and Isaiah speaks to the fact that they are going to, the whole world has got to come to the feast days. The whole world. We recognize that the feast days, all the feast days are even marked by what happened during the flood. So they are they are very important. But I want to play this video right quick so you can hear what a Gentile has to say about this. And two, understanding that Yah is not limited to who he talked to. And what's interesting is we okay with Nebuchadnezzar, as crazy as he was, having a dream and saying something. We okay with Pharaoh having a dream, but having his people interpret it, but have a problem when somebody other than a melanated person has something to say. Because look, they all gonna have to honor his feast day. It's just gotta come to us first. We've got to, because of who we are, he got to get this house in order. Just like the stuff that you're seeing with TD Jakes. You know, some stuff folks was talking about. See, they doing the black man wrong. Well, hey, I can't trip. They focusing on the black man because judgment comes first to the house of the Yahudim. Because they ain't said nothing. I ain't seen nothing about Joel Osteen. I ain't seen nothing about what's Rick Warren. Rick Warren was named in that same, and a bunch of other white prominent pastors were named in them in that stuff. This young lady came out with about this Jeffrey Epstein's thing. But they own TD Jakes though. TD Jakes is being drugged through the, yeah, because the judgment comes first to the Yahudim. Okay, so but I wanted to play this as far as the why.
Journey, and I'm going to take you with me. So this was the first year that my family and I did not celebrate Halloween. We didn't celebrate Halloween. I looked into its origins. It is just so clearly not from Christ. And so we just decided that we were going to set ourselves apart from that holiday. Okay. And so then I made a video about it. It went viral and all these people were like,
okay, really quick. That's what holiness means. Set apart. Not dress wearing. None of that. Holiness means set apart. Okay, just say that, and you heard us just say it. This is according to Yah's definition.
Like, what about Thanksgiving? What about Christmas? Look into the origins. Look into the origins. And then I just like every time I think about looking into the origins of Thanksgiving and Christmas and things like that, I got this really weird like gut feeling about it. Okay. And so yesterday morning I'm in prayer and I open up my Bible and I'm in the Old Testament and I'm in Samuel. My studies from Samuel that day led me to crack open and go back to the book of Numbers because there was a story about Moses. So like the book of Samuel, as I'm studying the chapter I'm in Samuel, it referenced a story from Moses's life back in Numbers. And tell me why the Lord spoke so clearly to me, y'all. Tell me why when I go to flip back to Numbers, it lands on Numbers 28 that outline the Lord's holy days or holidays, the Lord's feasts. Read in the Old Testament like a book from beginning to end, baby. So I was in Numbers maybe like 2-3 months ago, and on the same page in the same chapter of Numbers that lists out the Lord's holidays, the Lord's holy days, I literally had written them all out. I had written, Passover, Feast of Trumpets, Feast of Tabernacles, so yada, yada, yada. I had written them all out as headers. And then I told myself that I was going to go study his feast, and then I never made it back there. So tell me why my heart is considering looking in to the origins of Thanksgiving and Christmas and so on and so forth. I felt the Lord say to me, before you focus on lies from the enemy, I want you to focus on me and my truth. I don't want someone to be able to ask you, what are the origins of Christmas? And you be able to answer that more boldly and articulately and with more passion than you can answer if someone asks what my holy days are and what my feasts are. Not saying that the origins of those other pagan holidays are not something we should be aware of and are not something that if the Lord convicts it and lays it on your heart that you want to set yourself apart from. I'm not condoning them. But the Lord told me very clearly that we give the enemy far too much credit when we are so focused on his schemes that we ain't even looking at what the Lord's truth is. And there are so many of us right now, and I was about to be one, that could boldly and clearly and passionately spread the truth about the real origin of Christmas. But then if someone asked me what the Lord's feasts were and what the purpose of each one was and when you would celebrate it and why they celebrated it and how we could celebrate it today, I would come up like, Lord is patient and kind and loving and merciful. But he said, my daughter, don't you dare open up that Google search and look into and spend the time, your valuable time, looking up the origins of these things that aren't from me until you can boldly declare what is. So with that, I'm starting a series on the feast, baby. Let's focus on what is truth, who's coming with me. My TikTok family, the Lord said journey.
All right. Thoughts on that?
I think it's interesting that, you know, I was looking at her thing and it said that she had 68, I believe 68,000 loves, hearts on that. I think it's real interesting that she, as a Gentile, she will get all that things when you will hear a true Hebrew talk about the feast days. You may get, you know, 500 or 1,000. That's the part that I thought was kind of interesting. But I love the part that she's saying that she's that Yahuwah told her to focus on the feast days rather than the origins, rather than debunking Satan's lie. Go ahead and be able to clearly articulate my feast days, the who, what, when, where, and why. I do love that part of it as well.
Hands down. Anybody else?
I always get catapulted back in what the awakening is. The shofar of the awakening was we the people, not so much as the responsibility that it brings to be the people. And I think that when out of that text is letting her, the video is letting her know, it doesn't matter about what's false. Immerse yourself in what's real. So understanding we're the people, we have to grab onto the responsibility going back, and we now have to understand the feast days and the meanings of what they are, and not when Yahushua come back, we're gonna knock y'all out. Yeah. That's not that's not the focus. You're missing the whole thing. And because you're calling yourself in the truth with the wrong answer, you're still in a lie. And I think that was one of the revelations that jumped up out of her conversation.
Yeah. And it's just time for Israel. You said that very well. Being the light of the world. When we learn that there is crazy responsibility on that. There is a massive amount of responsibility on that. That we not deny him before men, so he don't deny us, or that our name not be blotted out. Because we was always told that you want your name to be written in the Lamb Book of Life. Well, according to the Bible, your name already there. You don't want to be blotted out because you are the apple of his eye. And that is not supremacy. No, that's taking your place. They put it in front of you in these movies. And they let you know that they're going to kill you if you try to what was that? Not black skin, American Skin, American Skin, that movie with the brother who played Nat Turner. Who? Nuh-uh. I'm talking about even Judas and the Black Messiah. The message in that whole movie was not to bring to light how great he was. That last scene where that girl is walking out of that room and that man shoots him point blank, that was the point of the movie. That's the message. American Skin, beside all of that situation where he, the cop killed his son and he finna get revenge and everything, he was about to get revenge, but then there's white sympathy and the white guy's gonna save him and tell him, no, don't shoot. And they shoot him anyway. And he dies on that floor and they do a top shot of him with a growing pool of blood behind his head. That is the money shot. That is the thing that they're telling you. Don't take your place. They showed you in the Lion King in a cartoon of all things and tried to connect you back. Black Panther. They let you know we will kill you and put Boule in the place to, you go from having all the technology to a community center. If that's not a slap in the face, the point is we've got to turn back to Yah, turn from our wicked ways, right? And part of that turning from, we don't even realize that it's wicked to not follow his commandments in the area of the calendar. That's the why. Because it's easy to slide into. It's easy to just slide into. We all did it. We all slid into it. We was born into sin, right? So, but anyway, so now the textual exploration. There's a couple of things. Go ahead. Oh yeah. So Elaine was saying, you know how the Messiah tells us to watch? If you don't know when to watch, because you don't know his feast days, his prophetic feast days. If you don't recognize that, you will miss it. You will not, you will be, and then even that, because my prayer has been, listen, I want to be properly clothed in, I don't want to be kicked out because I come to the marriage supper of the Lamb and, be out of line, right? Because I don't have the proper garments on. And what are the garments? The garments not actual garments. It's Torah. It's the word. I got to know what I got to be in the game in order for this to go down. I got to be in the game in order for this to go down. So this is called the Word app, Kaimax. And I really love this app. It's awesome. It's awesome because it gives you real time I won't go into all of that because again, I want to respect y'all's time. And this is the long portion. So if you're down for the long portion, and even though this is the long portion, but not only the long portion, as far as because we want to look into the scriptures, and I'm gonna show y'all. Go to my calendar, and so you can see the different things that are there. Because in the calendar, if you receive the calendar, all of the scriptures supporting each of the feast days are within that calendar. And it's set to remind you, because something that I've chosen, and and I'll say this, I've chosen that this year, even the new moons, because in the awakening, whatnot, everybody was focused on Passover, unleavened bread, and tabernacles mostly. Why? Because you can make money. They doing all of this gathering. I'm telling you, these brothers, Elaine and I took kids out to these Texas parks and wildlife and, places, and these places for tabernacles, they charging folk $300-400 and ain't feeding them. All right. Come on. No. And they was right. And some people got this whole doctrine where you can't keep the feast. He took the feast away from. No, he said their feast. Because they was meeting on the days, but they were living a different life. They wasn't functioning according to his feast and everything. Because that's what some say. I got a family member who said, yeah, I don't do that. I don't do none of the feast days because he took them away from. And in the very thing that you're pointing at, where you come from in Christianity, saying cherry picking scriptures, you're doing the same thing. You're cherry picking a scripture and just running with it. No, read the whole thing. Read the whole thing. So anyway, that's what this app is. And as you can see down in my notes right here, the feast days, and this is an overview. Understand as far as your feast days, you have your regular weekly and monthly feast. And then you have your pilgrimage feasts, which are 3, as Passover, unleavened bread, Shavuot, and you have tabernacles. Now, the total number of feasts are 7. Okay, 7. You got Passover, unleavened bread, Shavuot, well, Feast of Weeks, Shavuot, trumpets, atonement, and Feast of Tabernacles. Right now, well, I won't go into the whole thing about the Feast of Weeks and Pentecost, because when I first come into the understanding and start, waking up, I was thinking that they were the same thing, and they're not. And the way that the Ish people do it is not correct. Again, they're part of the system to take you off of the correct calendar, which is the Enoch calendar. Now, if Enoch put this calendar together, now, who walked with Yah 365 years before he was taken, wouldn't I not want to listen to him? All right. So here's a few things as far as the texts are concerned. You can find your short list of the feasts and the moeds in Exodus 23. I'm giving the whole chapter instead of the verse so you can read the full context. Yeah, it's the Word app. See right up here in the corner. If you have a Mac, you have to download what's called Parallel Desktop. Hey, sis. All right, we got Miss Smith in the building. All right. So yeah, Exodus 23 is where you're gonna find your short list. And the fact that there's a blessing upon that. You see in my notes, an angel is promised with a blessing if they will obey him, right? The angel goes before us to cut off these people. Who are they? What do they represent? And what does it mean for us today? Well, we know that these people, if the serpent was in the garden, the serpent is still with us today, right? So these are just my notes, just some things that I think about and I ask. So if you look at John 5 through 9, you'll see miracles are happening. That's when I was like, wait a minute, these miracles are happening on these feast days. It is what? An appointed time, right? When we get into the whole thing about clean and unclean. In a religious note, you're thinking all of these, oh, you're unclean, you're this, and not really understanding what's going on. If a woman, Yah is life, right? If a woman is passing, that's a form of life. That egg was there and could be alive, right? She coming to the moed, Yah is life. And we fool around there and have another immaculate conception. Because he ain't nothing but life. And when he dwelling with something, we see that when who was that? The man died and they threw the bones on one of the prophets and he came alive. So we see the practicality of this thing. It's not hyper spiritual, it's not super nebulous, ethereal, understanding. And this is for all of us to have, not for a select few, right? This is for all of us. So back to, just the feast days overview, several Bible passages say people came to Jerusalem at feast time to worship. Even Greek converts came to worship, understanding that the Greek convert was not what we think of as Greek, because our people were calling, it's like us calling somebody an Oreo. In this context, the Greek person was a person who barely knew the language, and so on and so forth. That's why Paul was saying, when Paul said, say if a Gentile, and we know too that they were using Gentile interchangeably for somebody who was not of the Yahudim and somebody who just grew up around folks who were not of the Yahudim, right? So you got people, because the 10 tribes were already scattered, right? So they had been scattered for years. So it was people that had customs that knew that they were supposed to come to Jerusalem 3 times out of the year, but they didn't understand the significance of it. So Paul was saying, if somebody do something by nature, if they follow Torah by nature, is it not counted unto him as righteousness? Let me give you another example. If I didn't know my daddy and my daddy's family, and I'm walking around in life, and then somebody see me and they see me walking like the family, and they come and ask me and say, hey, you know so-and-so, such and such and such, well, this, that, and the other. Your daddy's name is what? Is it not counted that I'm a son of that man just because I do what I do? That's what he was talking about. So don't get, it twisted when it was talking about the Greek. And I know a lot of you are on here know that, but for those who don't, I just want to clear that up. But the Apostle Paul claims that he went up to Jerusalem because a lot of times people use Paul. And let me just put that hierarchy in place. I don't care what Paul say. If it conflicts with what the Messiah say, whatever Paul said goes out the window. Now, I know that Paul, because now that I know the context from which he was speaking of, I know he's not saying what a lot of times I've spoken while I was in just a believer and a whippersnapper preacher, teaching and whatnot, that's not what he was saying. Some of the things are confused, with Paul saying he's against, thinking that Paul is against the law. No, Paul, when he said, especially using forsake not the assembling of yourselves as others do, that was taken totally out of context. Forsaking not yourself, meaning, because he told us on several occasions in Acts, which I'm sharing that Acts 24:11, he said, I must go serve this feast. It was one of the pilgrimage feasts. Here's another reason why it should be your why. He understood that he needed to go. Now the Messiah, if somebody say that the Messiah said something different when he said, now he tells us that I didn't come to end the law, but to fulfill it, some kind of way we get in the past, I got that misunderstood as he did away with the law, all of the law. Even though he telling me I didn't come to do away with the law, that it's going to be there, and that until every jot or tittle is fulfilled, that heaven and earth would pass away before it's not completed. Right? So if the Messiah says something different than the Father said, then I got to get rid of the Messiah. Now we know that the Messiah said, I don't speak nothing of myself. So he didn't come here bringing a new law. Even when talking about circumcision, circumcising your heart, that was talking about back that wasn't nothing new. Right? So Paul kept it. So now that we got that hierarchy, understand that Abba Yah is king. And what he said in his Torah, that's our starting point. If anybody under him say something different, away with them, off with their heads. Okay? All right, so then the prophecy of the millennial era says that a remnant of nations shall go up from year to year to worship the king of Yahuwah, of hosts, Yahuwah Sabaoth, and to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. That's in Zechariah 14:16. So the feast are not something that was old, and that with the death of our Messiah, the death of Jesus, it wiped away all of the law. No, that's not it. That's not book. So our Messiah kept the feast and was actually born during the Feast of Tabernacles, John 5:1. You go to John 5, and I can go there again. And I love how they just sprinkle that Jews all over the place. Anyway, but when you read this whole chapter, you will see the time that he was born. And when you go 6 months after that, and you'll see when John was born. 6 months before that, you'll see when John was born during a feast day. And then when you do count 9 months back, and you'll see it was a feast day, that something was happening. They were celebrating. Yeah, look, I think during the time of because some of those other days that are not commanded feast days, but we do have as a nation, we do have holidays that are recognition of our historical things that happen. You know, for instance, not the Feast of Lights, but the Feast of Dedication. That's one that our Messiah even honored. I think that's when he was conceived. Do the math. Do the math. But anyway, so even Paul, the Shabbat, these are all the scriptures here that share Paul obeying Torah. And when Paul was going to feast days, right? And again, here where it says kept in the kingdom to come, Zechariah 14:16 through 19, Isaiah 66:23 through 24. Those were all times where it talks about what's happening as far as the what's happening in the kingdom to come. Now, with that, let me see here. Now, before I go further, I'm not going to calculate the feast days for you. That again, that all part was the why. I will say this because there's different things out there, and we got to go back and look at Abba Yah's. The calendar itself tells you from the week, from the day, from the week to the month to the year that Abba Yah starts things in light, because he is an Elohim of light. Now, anybody, there's folks that do 12 hours only for Shabbat. I'm not trying to get in the weeds on all of those particular things. However, in order for you to determine when you are supposed to do those feast days that says from even to even, you have to know when a day starts. So, matter of fact, I had in here some things for, I had a classroom. Okay, that's not it. A classroom, and here are some of the day and night questions. Now, if you want to get in there and get into all that, because it's a lot of questions, and some of them seem redundant. Some of them seem redundant, but it's pertinent for you to get in there and figure that out. Okay. That's all the questions. First of all, understanding that the enemy, he wants to have a particular place and a particular space. He changed it to where the day started at when the night was beginning to rule. Right now, but according to the calendar, hold on, let me take it off of share right quick. Okay, now when we looking at we just looked at the calendar, we realized the year begins when the day starts to do what? Increase. When the day becomes longer, that's when the new year began. Well, why would he do the start the day when the darkness increases? Is that congruent with his pattern? Somebody tell me. Also, on those feast days, when we get to the point where we got, okay, how many, so it's not just me talking about it. How many feast days do we have that the day begins, that you start the feast day in the evening? Nabiya is just showing it. 2. What are those days that they start in the evening?
Passover and Day of Atonement.
Yes. Okay. Now, if you were supposed to start every day and every Shabbat, why would he make the difference on those 2 days? Because truly be told, if his day started in the evening, how are you doing the evening for the Pesach? How do you even determine that? That was the thing that I was racking my brain. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm on the 14th day, but if the 14th day starts in the evening of the day before, so when it became clear to me was when I went to the Greek Septuagint. Anybody seen the Greek Septuagint, Genesis? What it says about the beginning? If you haven't, I'm about to show you. All right. Oh my goodness. All right, so this is all the firmament and whatnot. Let's go down to the 4th day. And this is one of the cues too, as to why the year starts on Wednesday too. Because when you go to the creation week, the days begin to start when he gave over the luminaries to start. Okay. So, oh no, I can go back to the first day. Let me see here. It's right here. And Yah called the light day and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. Does that clear it up for anybody? He didn't have to say, okay, no, because the KJV have it's confusing. And the evening and the morning were the first day. How is the evening and the morning the first day? You see how thrown off that is? Now, the reason why, anybody know, can anybody tell me why I'm going back to the Greek Septuagint piece over the KJV?
Is it because the Greek is older?
Yes.
Is that-
Over 1,000 years. And it shared, it was copied from an older manuscript. So a lot of times I will fact check my KJV with the Greek Septuagint. Because like even the whole deal about Genesis 15, when it talks about, let's see, 15 or 14, 15 or 14. It says in let's see, it may be, wait a minute, I think it's 14. But anyway, come on, go ahead, Nabia.
Okay, so I like the TS 2009, the scriptures, the Basora, because it must have got its information from the Greek Septuagint too, because it says, the fifth one, and Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day. And that's how ours says it. Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, put that in the chat. So yeah, so you have to discover what day is before you get into the full calendar. Because I'm telling you, with starting the day, and I say this from experience, not from any malicious intent toward, because I got brothers that I'm still friends with, and I don't divide over that. We don't have the luxury of division while we in our captivity. So but until that opening comes for me to share, ask those questions, because it's one thing for me to tell somebody than to for you to search that thing out, because when you search it out for yourself, it's yours. So but if I can offer those opportunities to ask those questions, to get those wheels turning, and you begin to see some of those things. But yeah, before you get started on your calendar, you have to know when a day starts. And we have a ton of scripture that shares, even so when you go to and all of these are answers to those questions about day and night, and allowing the scripture to define day and night. We're not gonna go into all of that. That's a lot of stuff or whatnot. But even when you look at the piece, hey baby girl, Shabbat Shalom. But when you look at the parable, when the Messiah talks about the people, when he came out one morning, and these people needed work, and he's agreed to bring them on for work, and they agreed that for a certain amount, right? He went through the whole process of a day. And at the end of the day, which was what? Even. And he paid everybody the same amount. That not only, it's not a thing on saying, that because the day here, and I can point out all the scripture. No, I can show how they function, that even the Messiah showed how they function, and day begins in the morning rather than night. And then again, back to the pattern of Yah, he is an Elohim of light. Why would he begin his day when the evening is waxing and growing? Go ahead, Nabia.
this is gonna be my last thing. I'm gonna shut up after this. But even the scriptures tell us, like, one of the things that Yahuwah, because when I first came into the truth, I was like, some people saying it's evening, some people saying it's, they like, Yah, what is it? He brought to me scripture, Psalms 113:3, from the rising of the sun until the going down of the same, Yahuwah's name is to be praised. And after that, I had no more confusion. And I
Yeah.
digress.
That's it. That's it. Yes, that is it. Which one I want to show is this piece. When the Messiah, so when the ladies went out to go and see the Messiah, when they was going to the tomb, and it said, and the day was dawning to the first day. Meaning it was to the end of the Shabbat. That's showing you the life of it, not just the letter, but showing the life of how they actually did it. So the scripture will define itself and everything. So again, with the calendar, you got to define the date. And when we start with Shabbat, I shared with you guys already about the Strategematicon, how it says that they conquered, this is during the Maccabean period, when they conquered Israel, the land of in Jerusalem. They conquered them on the day of Saturn, because they would not fight. They got intel, said, hey, they on the Shabbat, they don't do no work. They don't do nothing. They won't even fight. And when you read Maccabees, the first through the fourth, and you listen to our history, you will see that they decided, no, we gonna fight on the Shabbat after that, furthering their defeat. Y'all wasn't there to fight for them, because they had, matter of fact, the infighting that was going on, what we see in the awakening, this whole infighting thing, that's why Johnson checked out. As for me and my house, groupthink, we can't afford groupthink. All of us have to follow and function and follow the Father. Strategematicon. What I'll do, I'll put in, matter of fact, you know what? If y'all, because I'm not gonna go that, I just want to give you those pieces to get started on your, and this is being recorded, and I'll put a link in for y'all to get it. This ain't, this was no production. Okay, this wasn't a production. I'm over the bells and whistles and so on and so forth, y'all. This is real. It's really real. This is not, fanfare. And again, I ain't nobody's moray. I ain't trying to be nobody's moray. Such as I have, I give it unto you. But as far as the bells and whistles, y'all, we have followed the bells and whistles. What Paul said, the Yahudim want to see a sign. They want to see miracles and all this other kind of stuff. And the Greeks over here, they want logic and everything. Can we just want him? He say, delight in me. Just delight in him. Read the text and go and allow the Spirit. I'm telling you, he's not a liar. He woke you up for a reason. He's bringing you this information for a reason. Now, either you follow the pillar or get left behind. That's all we have, the force. And we pray for Israel as a whole. We pray for our people, and we got to get beyond just the United States, because we are scattered abroad. We have got to be thinking about our people down in Panama, our people in Argentina, our people in Brazil, our people. He said, I'm going to gather you from everywhere. The islands, our people everywhere in your prayer should be about those matters. It should. It just should. So I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all that the video about the strategic Matacon, if you got time. Now remember, in the beginning, I set up the guidelines and I said, you leave when you ready. This is not service. You leave when you ready, and it's a conversation. So that's why, you know, I keep stopping and asking, you know, y'all got anything on that? Let me go to here. And this guy, and what's interesting, what we see people giving themselves to men and that men are failing them is because they become Dagon in folks' lives. And that's why I stay away from the whole Moreh thing. He laid it out in Matthew 23. Say we only have one Father. Yeah, that's right, Lane. No idols. I do not want to be an idol in your life. I will not try to share in Yah's glory, because what happens? I get toppled over. First time, I get toppled over in my hands. My ability to do what I'm doing is taken. The anointing is taken. And then that final topple, headship is gone. Authority is gone. I'm not trying to go down due process like that. And I pray for anybody who does. But you'll see in this strategic Matacon piece, this Roman mindset that is in that we have going on of position and so on and so forth. Let me see, number one. Okay, these are short, these are 1 minute videos. I'm not sure which one that goes in on the strategic Matacon, but it does. I'll let it play. And I'll put the link to this particular video, the full video, in the chat as well. And to everybody.
This is from the Works of Josephus Against Apion, Book 2, page 811, section 40, subsection 282.
And two, when y'all watch his video, there are going to be some things that you're going to recognize. Okay, wait a minute. That's all. And listen, it's okay. Eat the meat and spit out the bones. Okay? So this is the Works of Josephus. Let me go to the other clip, because this is not the one.
Now, historically, we know that the Roman day of Saturn is the same thing as modern day Saturday. That's where the name comes from. We already proved that Yahushua kept the Sabbath day on the same day as the other Jews in the 1st century. So if we can show that the Roman day of Saturn is the same day as the Jews' weekly Sabbath, that proves that Saturday is in fact the Sabbath day. Why? Because Yahushua verified that the Jews was keeping the Sabbath on the right day. So watch this. Now we know historically that the temple was destroyed in 70 AD. 14 years later in 84 AD, a Roman soldier named Julius Frontinus wrote a book called Stratagemmaticon.
Ooh, I said
This
that
book
wrong.
is about using military strategies to defeat your enemy. This is page 90. Now, historically, we know that the Roman day of Saturn is the same thing as modern day Saturday. That's where the name comes from. We already proved that Yahushua
Okay, so that means it's clip number 3 that goes into the that other piece proving that the day of Saturn.
This is page 98. Let's see what military strategy was used to defeat the Jews. It says, the deified Vespasian attacked the Jews on the day of Saturn. Watch this. A day on which it is sinful for them to do any business, and so defeated them. See that? What day is it sinful for Israelites to do business on? The Sabbath day. So the military strategy that Vespasian used was to attack the Jews on the Sabbath day, which the Romans called Saturn Day. This proves that Saturday is the Sabbath day. Here's another testimonial from a Roman historian named Dio Cassius. This is from his book entitled Roman History. This is volume 8, page 271. It says, this is page 98.
All right, so 2 or 3 witnesses do what? That every word be established on the stand. Yes, sir. So, all right, so I'm gonna put the let me go to the full video, and I'll put this in for your watching. Yeah, this is the full video. So put that in the chat. Now he talks about the lunar piece as well. One of the things he does not go into is, you know, and I think because this video was long, it's almost 2 hours. But in talking about the what calendars use the moon, you know, what calendars use the moon. And we know that the moon too, if you're using the moon, you're 10 days short of a full 364 years, 364 days. But yeah, that was a quick overview, y'all, of the calendar, how to get your own calendar going, and we talked about the why. Let's show this one more again. Yeah, so we talked about the why. We identified the beginning of the year, how to discover the beginning of the year, because you need to know the beginning of the year in order for you to follow the in the first month on the 14th day you get your lamb, and so on and so forth. You need to know on the 10th on the even counting for Shavuot. You count 100 because you count that 50 twice. And one of the beautiful things about that is because if I showed you what the Ish people have, or the 2939, they have the Feast of Ingathering right there at Abib, right after unleavened bread. Have anybody seen that picture of the calendar? And the calendar, it has Passover, unleavened bread. Let me see. I'll find it for y'all so y'all can just see it right quick. And there is it when you use critical thinking, and the fact that we have been so removed from agriculture that it's unreal. It's a disservice for us. Okay. Yeah, you count 50 twice from the last date, from the last Shabbat. Oh, this is perfect right here, because this is And there's text in there too that that gives you hints regarding it. So you see this feast, and this is what I Googled was Jewish feast days. So you see how they got Pentecost way over here, but they got first fruits way over here. Now these days right here, these names, we only have the name for Abib. These are Babylonian names. Why in the world would Yah have Tammuz in the name of one of his, or Elul? Why would he have these people involved in his calendar? Nissan. What in the world is I drive a Nissan. Trying to get rid of it. Anyway, no offense to the Nissan driving people. Anyway, but you look at now, why is the first month Abib? What's the name Abib mean? Anybody? Popcorn style.
In the ear.
In the ear. What does that mean? In the
It's green.
green? What's green?
The harvest, the
Wheat.
barley harvest is I thought it was barley, but whatever it is, it's the wheat.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's in the green. It's just now springing up out of the ground.
Okay, so how in the world are you gonna have first fruit right there? How's first fruit gonna be in the same? No, you count 50 days from there and you have first fruits. And it's in the text. And I'm deliberately not reading the text because
Okay, here, brothers, where I need for you to justify that with the text, because that contradicts what I know and what I've been taught. So I understand you said you're not going to do it, but I need you to at least put the text somewhere in here
what's
so
the
that we
text?
can refer back to it. Yeah, put it in the
Okay.
chat if you don't mind.
Right. Okay, so
Okay.
even before I give you the text, what is the life cycle of the barley or the wheat? The agriculture will tell you and will give you cute clues. When the Father say that the rocks will cry out, that everything around, that the nature gives him his just due, everything is obedient except for us. So the life cycle of the wheat is going to be 100 days. Now, everybody didn't put the wheat down at the same time. So that's why he says in the Feast of First Fruit, don't eat anything that's still green in the ear because it hadn't finished its full life cycle. Right? So then that's without the text. That's just with the earth, just looking at the planet and seeing that what he's basing everything on, the name Abib is based off of the plant. So we can deduce that there's no way for that plant to be ready within that 30 days. So let's go. Let's look at, so here's the Feast of Weeks. Let me see if this is and there you have it. Let me see here. Now it's the middle of the year. Now, when we go back and look at our so in looking at here, is that the middle of the year? We can just go off of that one scripture here, Exodus 34:22, because both of them are right there close together. All right, let's go to Leviticus. Give me somebody with a reading voice. I don't read well. I was put in the orange group. Who was in the green group in school? Don't laugh at that, honey, y'all.
What are we reading? I can read it. I have a good reading voice.
Yeah, right there at 9, starting at 9.
At the and Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and thou shalt say to them, when you shall enter into the land which I give you, and reap the harvest of it, then shall you bring a sheaf, the first fruits of your harvest, to the priest, and he shall lift up the sheaf before Yahuwah, and be accepted for you. On the morrow of the first day, the priest shall lift it up. And you shall offer on the day on which ye bring the sheaf a lamb without blemish of a year old for a whole burnt offering unto Yahuwah, and its meat offering 2/10 portions of fine flour mingled with oil. It is a sacrifice to Yahuwah, a smell of sweet savor to Yahuwah, and its drink offering the fourth part of a hin of wine. And you shall not eat bread or the new parched corn until the same day, until ye offer the sacrifices to your Yahuwah, your Elohim. It is a perpetual statute throughout your generations and all your dwellings.
Okay, so that was first fruits, Feast of Weeks, right? It's a whole nother section for the Pentecost. If it was the same thing, we wouldn't go into a whole nother section. And you shall number yourselves from the day after the Shabbat, from the day on which ye shall offer the sheaf. That's the money. That's the money. That's the money script right there. That's what separates the two. That's what gives you another, you count your 50s twice. I gotta see, because I know there's another one where it tells you specifically, because that was something that brought me to, had me going, I'm like, wait a minute, why would he say don't eat nothing green in the ear? Because I was still thinking that it was the same in Feast of Weeks and first fruits was the same thing. Well, the harvest is a lot of times referred to as the end of the year. That's end of the harvest year, which when we go into tabernacles and so on and so forth, right? So how's it going to be the first and the last? Those two can't be together. And again, it's back to when we take our time, check our inner Christian. You know, we'll pull a scripture and we'll deal with that text rather than dealing with that whole piece. And sometimes it takes us reading. Oh, I'm saying this. I'm not saying this as one who got, because my family will tell you, I had them around the clock with. We'd have done so many calendars and such, and you know, I'm telling you, it was a lot. Yes. So, but yeah, so that's this one right here is the money piece. What separates the both of them. Leviticus 23 and 15. So you see that there is no way. Besides, so that's more than one. Well, that's two witnesses, I say, because the fact that the plant itself tells you that it can't mature within that time, and Yeah, and that's another thing about this app that I really like. I can put green in the ear. Let me put green in the ear because that's the one that got me. No, put some oh, I'm in the, let me go over here. Wow. No, no. Every green tree. Here we go. Oh, that was it. That was it. Okay, yeah. And you shall eat you shall eat neither bread. And I think this is where the confusion comes. Because as you're reading it or whatnot, because it's right after the where is this at? Let me see real quick. No, that's still the sheep. Okay, I'm read right over that. Parched corn nor green ears. Yeah. Until the self same day that you have brought an offering to the Yahuwah El Hakim. And this is the statute. Even that statement right there. And this also tells you that the Feast of Weeks was not a pilgrimage. However, you could come together because you were supposed to bring it to the priest. Post the Enoch calendar again. This right here. This is what you wanted. Okay. Yeah, it's a short presentation because like I said, it was just going to be an overview. I'm gonna give you the stuff to start out, and maybe we can come back together again and see everybody's dates, and what they, what you came up with using those resources. So let me just review those resources again. The date, matter of fact, I'll repost those because I think when you came in, Charity, it didn't, it wasn't in there.
Okay. Thank you.
This is the, yes, ma'am. Because it was in there, but because you came in at the time you wouldn't be able to see it. All right, that's the date calculator, what I have. And this is the almanac. And two, what I'll do is I'll post a link to the video in REN, the group me. That way everybody can go back and watch and see it from the beginning and everything. Now, again, if you want to do, because this is there, this calendar that I'm showing you right here, with all those questions that I showed earlier. If you want to be a part of that, I'm not going to show the people and all the other things that the people didn't do the class. I ain't gonna say no names. Let me see, is Westside Johnson still in here? Huh? Where they go?
Yes, we are.
Let me see. Where's is Zoe still in here? Yeah, Zoe. Did I say names? I said I wasn't gonna say no names. And the one that's laughing now? Yeah. Yeah, get your glasses, wipe your eyes. Yeah, wring them fingers. Yeah, yeah. I ain't gonna show what they did in there, but anyway. But yeah, it's it's no thing. In here we have the feast days, in here, different classes and questions, just things to think about, to consider when you're developing your calendar and whatnot. So let me see the classwork. Yeah, the feast days, research. So I didn't finish that out, but yeah, the Sabbath day, things that you want to look at, and that day and night thing again. Abba Yah gave specific instructions on when to hold Pesach and when to hold atonement. If you start in your day and the night, you're gonna miss it every time. And that's kind of why it's got so many, because it's developed, in so many different angles. It's taken so many different angles to that day-night thing. So no condemnation or anything. It's just as I said before, he seeks those to worship him in spirit and in truth. And that's what we want to do. Humbly. So and allowing the text to share itself. And like I said, as far as the Apocrypha, the letters and all of that, it shows. Hold on a minute. I got. So for those of you who already have the calendar invites that have been sent out, in there is all the text, the scripture, the letters, and some of the Apocrypha in there for you to be able to peruse and look through and have your own study regarding those things and whatnot. So yeah, that's it. Anybody have anything else? Any other questions? It was supposed to be quick, and but it was good. It's all good. Yeah. But I did answer your question though, Charity, right?
Not at all. And I'm a bit confused with where I got hung was how were you counting the 50 days twice? And I said, y'all have to understand, I respect this man highly. I approached him as my brother, and I forgot the other people were on the screen. So first of all, man of God, let me come back and approach you properly. I forgot that we had an audience of other people. My question is, how do we calculate the 50 twice? I'm looking in the text, and clearly there's some context that I don't have, because I'm reading that. I'm not seeing how that's calculated. And I would appreciate help with that.
All right. Okay, so when you go through from Passover, so we'd have to read this whole, let's read that.
Where are you?
The Feast of the Lord. That is Leviticus 23.
Gotcha. Okay, let me get it.
Oh, I don't have it on. Okay, hold on. Let me put it back on screen. I didn't realize I stopped sharing. Let me know when y'all got it.
Okay, I got you.
All right. Nabia, you want to read again? Who want to read?
Yeah, that's fine. You said Leviticus 1 through what?
Yeah, we just gonna read that whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The Feast of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of Yahuwah, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, a holy or Kodesh convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahuwah in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of Yahuwah, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day, or the first month, even at even, is Yahuwah's Passover. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto Yahuwah. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. In the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah 7 days. In the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. The
Meaning-
sheaves
Mhm.
of first fruits. And Yahuwah spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And ye shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah to be accepted for you. On the morrow, after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. And ye shall offer that day, when ye wave the sheaf, a he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahuwah. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, and you flipping, and okay, an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah for a sweet savor, and the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your Elohim. It shall
Okay.
be a statute forever throughout your generations in all dwellings.
Okay, so I see where it's missing. It's missing that first count of the first 50. Okay. Let me go back to see which one is it. Numbers. Let me go back here because I think I may have it here. Pentecost. Oh, that's where it just came from. No, there's another. I gotta find where it has the first 50, because it says into I want to say maybe Deuteronomy, because it says it twice, and then on that next, because it says on that next on that next Shabbat to go down, you count another 50. Hold on a minute. Let me get it for you, sis.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Most places 16. Okay. All right, let's read this right here. This is going over the days too. I had it under.
Verse 9.
Yeah, let's start at because that's the Passover. Yeah, let's do verse 9.
Verse 9. Okay.
This
Still
is
in chapter 23.
This is 16, 9.
starting at the 9th verse.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
you still in chapter 23?
No, Deuteronomy 16.
Okay. Okay, didn't hear that part. Give me a second. Okay. Okay. And verse 9.
Starting at the
wait a
ninth
minute.
verse. Mhm.
Wait a
Okay,
minute, wait a
I'm
minute.
with you. Thank you. I'm with you.
You ready,
Minute.
Eric?
No,
No,
hold on,
no,
hold on a
okay.
minute. Let's see. So go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get
You ready?
uh-huh.
Okay. 7 weeks thou shalt number unto thee, begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto Yahuwah thy Elohim with a tribute of a freewill offering of thine hand, which thou shalt give unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, according as Yahuwah thy Elohim hath blessed thee. And thou shalt rejoice before Yahuwah thy Elohim, thou and thy son and thy daughter.
It's you come to all right. Oh, that was 24:17. 20, Leviticus 23:10.
Go back to Leviticus 23.
Yeah, let's go back to 23:10 because
23:10.
I got in my notes here because it was like the Pentecost, not the 50 days from the 7th Sabbath is what I had. Yeah, did I overread that? Read all that? Because I got in my notes. 10, speaking of sale, which I give the harvest, you shall bring a sheaf. Yeah. And then 14 through 17.
Okay. Still in Leviticus
Even
23.
unto huh?
Okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, verse 16, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahuwah. So that's after the Sabbath, after you've done Feast of Weeks, which is right here. After I've done that meat offering and done all of this that he said to do, from that Sabbath after that, I'm gonna count 50 days.
Okay.
So even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days and shall offer a new meat offering unto Yahuwah.
Got
And
it.
so
Okay.
for that to be the new meat offering, but that's after the first meat offering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Huh?
I'm with you. I'm
Yeah.
with you. Got it.
Yeah, 7 full weeks. Yeah, I'm like, I knew I read that. I'm going too fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Can you? Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
yes, ma'am.
Is this the same? Okay. Do we do what's called counting the Omer? Is that Ish or is that us?
The thing, I'm not going, I'm not going, I'm not going to answer because I haven't looked at it enough. I
Okay.
haven't. I stopped looking at their stuff when I start seeing what they were doing. You know,
Mhm.
that I say, man, let me just get to where I'm I need to get to the real deal
Well,
because
the reason I ask is because that 50 days, we were counting it 50 days from Pesach
mhm.
being Shavuot, and I'd always heard it was the counting of the Omer, those 50 days. So you're saying that is not what we do?
No, we do from unleavened
No.
bread.
Uh-huh.
We go so 7 weeks is 50 days because you're gonna do that next day. It's always on a Sunday. So
Right.
on the first day. So
Gotcha.
that's Feast of Weeks.
Right.
And on that next Shabbat,
Hmm.
count 50 days from that next Shabbat. That's after the Feast of Weeks. That's what it's saying in 14, right here, 23, 16, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Leviticus 23:16. That's what it's saying there. After that after you don't count them 7 weeks, and then you had your Feast of Weeks,
Hmm.
and you done gave your first meat offering, you give your
Hmm.
second meat off, another meat offering after that 50 days. That's Shavuot. Now, this is something you
Okay.
gotta, and what also supports that
Hmm.
is when you go back and you look at the time that it took them to go from Exodus, from the Passover to Shavuot, because Shavuot was the other thing about Shavuot was us becoming a nation,
Hmm.
and you count those days,
Yes.
right? So the
Okay.
time that it took, and the timeline is in there. When you, I like to listen and read along, but the timeline is in there on what it took for them to get there. So in support with that and the anatomy of the plant, how long it takes the plant to come in, and the fact that he said that it was a bee, because more than likely they and this is from the agriculture side, you plant your seed, and we're talking about uh uh this is a kingdom. This is a nation.
Hmm.
All the seed don't go down at the same, it goes down within a period of time, but some of it's gonna come up at a certain time. Now, if he says it's green in the ear, even
That's
just
right.
just looking at that, if it's green in the ear, you can't have first fruit at the same time. And that's with any plant, not just the wheat or whatever. When you get your first little buds,
Hmm.
it's not ready. I did a video a long time ago on jalapeno pepper, uh,
Hmm.
explaining the first fruit piece, because in church it was always talked, get your first fruits. You got to get them first fruits in. But my check was the same. But in that plant, Yah has put in that plant, once you take the first fruit, it's automatic that you're supposed to get a great harvest. If you don't get a great harvest, it's because you are lying.
Hmm.
Because I showed in the video, I had my jalapeno plants out in the front, and I had some, and it was some that was real big, but the rest of them was still tiny. So when I take those ones that's real big and I offer that to Yah, I'm good. It's guaranteed that I'm getting a literal harvest, not a spirit. How sometimes we do this spiritual thing, saying it's spirit. No, this was literal. This was a literal harvest. When you talk about the cankerworm, no, these people was starving for real, because cankerworm, they could go outside and see the cankerworm eating their stuff. Nothing figurative, nothing, that wasn't able to be seen. So when you put all those things together, the critical thinking, the agriculture, and the timeline that's in Genesis of when we came together, one of the things, because this was supposed to be just an overview, if you go into the piece, the timeline of Noah and the flood, when the gates opened up and when the gates closed for the water, when the gates, all of those timelines should fit. And Feast of Weeks wasn't when I was studying it back then, like I had to pull out my book. The Feast of Weeks wasn't fitting according to what the Ish people had here. Where's that? What do I do with it? Here it is. It wasn't fitting with, and we know that Noah had a covenant. So y'all ain't breaking covenants.
That's right.
For the sake of, what these people, and again, that's the thing about an identity thief. An identity thief will change your spending habits, but they not changing the number of that debit card. So this is an example of them changing the spending habits and a way to keep us from recognizing those pieces. I said earlier, Second Chronicles, when it talks about us turning from our wicked ways and understanding how easy wickedness is. Remember how Peter was called Satan. He was called Hasatan. When he said something that was so sincere. No, you're not gonna die. No, I know what you're gonna die. Not my dead body. No, over your absent body, maybe. But bro, you were innocent in your thought process. We don't realize how I said this at a church one time. I asked, so who all in here then raised from the dead, raised somebody from the dead? We had some people nodding and everything. Nobody was gonna just raise their hand up, but they, yeah. So, okay, well, why my miracle workers? What are the people that done great works in the Father and everything? And I brought out that piece about the fact that you're not going to, he's gonna say, depart from me. If he's gonna say, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. You didn't keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll keep my commandments. And these are one of those things. And it's not something that's nefarious because we got a lot of sincere folks. I believe that everybody's folks that are not participating in his love language, and that's one of the things that I prefaced this as was his love language. That's not participating in his love language. They don't know. And when somebody don't know, they just don't know. We say, well, you ain't reading. Okay, well, you was there one time before too. Well, you wasn't reading. And even if you reading, just like but the example just now, when you done read, you can forget. And you have to go back. And say, I'm glad I wrote it down. Or you can read over. You can read past. Sometimes in our minds, we have this thought in our mind and we trying to fit the scripture to our liking. And that's when even Elohim becomes an idol. I would even go as far as to say there's people in the awakening to where precept upon precept is an idol. When they're not living it, when they're not removing that foreskin from their heart to be able to deal with their brother. And they getting into a place where he said, hey, listen, your feast days, I don't want no parts of them. I don't want to part. And I was mentioning that earlier too, before you came on, about how people have turned that into a doctrine. When it's not, I got a who? Okay. Where? Yeah, they got the whole doctrine of he took away the feast days, and that's not the case, because the case, what I showed in Zechariah and Isaiah, in the kingdom to come, is going to be ready. This is a dress rehearsal. And if we don't dress rehearse, then we could, let's say we make it to the marriage supper of the Lamb, but still get kicked out because we got improper garments on, which is the lifestyle. Right?
Completely possible.
Hands
Completely
down.
possible.
So Nebiah, you had something?
Just a question. I'm sorry. I just want some clarification. Did I hear you say that Pentecost and Shavuot was not the same?
No, Feast of Weeks and Shavuot is not the same.
Oh, Feast of Weeks
Right.
and Shavuot is not the same.
Right.
Okay.
And see,
Oh.
in my assembly, we had heard that they were synonymous, and that's why that additional 50 was a bit of a toss-up, because in where I come from, it was synonymous.
Yeah.
One and the same. And it's like that one little verse there changes all of the calculations, and that's why it's worthy of scrutiny.
Yeah, hands
It's
down.
worthy of scrutiny. That's good.
I'm telling you, 'cause I was confused.
Hold
Go
on
ahead.
1 second. I'm sorry. I wasn't finished with that thought. So
Okay.
you wait. So just to get okay, you
Okay.
said the Feast of Weeks. You said Feast of Weeks and Shavuot is not the same,
Right.
and Pentecost is something different.
Pentecost is Feast of Weeks.
Pentecost, okay. Pentecost.
No, not Feast of Weeks. I'm sorry, Shavuot. Yeah, Shavuot and Pentecost is the same.
They are the same. Okay, so Pentecost and Shavuot is the same, but then Feast of Weeks is what?
First fruits and Feast of Weeks, that's
It's
synonymous.
the same. Okay.
Right.
First,
Pentecost.
got you. Okay, I'm like,
Right.
okay,
think
yeah. So Pentecost and Shavuot is the same. I got that. Okay, and then
Right.
first fruit and Feast of Weeks is the same.
Right, because think about it. He
Got
said
you. Okay.
count 7 weeks. And then he said count 50 days. Penta is 50, right?
Right.
That's why I was saying, y'all, it is simple. In the beginning, I say it is not rocket science. It is not rocket science. And that's why I said too, as far as groupthink is dangerous. Agreement is wonderful, but groupthink is dangerous. And that's how we slide into cults. And what's interesting is, well, one of the most acceptable cults is the factions that we have all throughout Muslim, Christianity, Judaism. You know, you got Orthodox, and then you got this over here, and you got to do these different things. And when you read the text, ain't none of it there. I did a TikTok not long ago. I say, you know, it's interesting. The 3 major religions have you not looking at, they talk about Torah, but they don't have you look at Torah to understand this. You got to look at Torah to understand anything they saying. Anything they saying in the letters, anything they saying in the Apocrypha, anything, because even the Quran refers back to Torah. But have you studying the Quran? Don't study Quran. That's like a TD Jakes books to me. The letters are a book to me. And they should be to you, because they were to Paul, they were to Peter, they were to all of they were a book, they were letters, they were an email. And what's sad is we only have one email. We don't have the email that Paul received to be able to understand, for like what the awakening fights over about, you know, the difference between a man and a woman and all of that, or how they fight about in Romans about circumcision. If you listen to it and take away all your thought process of cherry picking certain scriptures, if you listen to it, you will hear Paul active listening. You had to active listen back then, so that the person that you responding to can know what Paul was saying. So I've heard it that this is going on amongst you. Why? Because he received an email. I want to know what the email said, so I can understand in context what he's saying, why he's saying what he's saying. Because that piece where they talk about the woman not, having her head covered and all that other stuff, people forget. He say at the end of that, he was active listening. He say, so this is what's being said, that this and this and this and that, and a man uncovers her head. Okay, I got it. Well, of that, we have no such custom. He say we ain't got no such custom. These are emails. We call them scriptures. They not scripture. And Paul, if he was standing, I say, hey, Paul, man, is your letter to the Corinthians, is that scripture? Oh, man. Oh. It's not a fight against what was said, but we gotta, if we gonna worship him in spirit and in truth, keep that hierarchy. The Messiah ain't gonna say nothing different than the Father. And he said it. And even Paul said, I have no law on this particular thing, because this is the letter that I'm writing. But I feel I have a little liberty. But then we got to remember that the enemy, an enemy to this nation, had your book and inserted some of their thought processes in there. Like this whole hierarchy, man against woman. If the Messiah shed his blood to annihilate everything that the first Adam did, then we don't go back to the hierarchy of Genesis 3. We go back to dominion that we had together in Genesis 1, because that's what the Messiah did. So until we gonna have this stuff, anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But you had your hand raised, sis?
Going back to a point though that you made sometime earlier about the calendars and how our book has been taken and kind of manipulated. Daniel talks about how the enemy comes to wear out the saints or wear out the believers by messing up the calendar. If we don't know when to come together to fellowship, then you may be out there waiting on fellowship and nobody's with you. You get disgruntled and say, well, nobody's healing your heart. And then you get into Romans, right? Where it talks about how hope deferred makes the heart sick. And then you get into, now I'm discouraged and I don't want to follow Messiah anymore. And it's as simple as meeting on time and in time that gets you your fellowship, that feeds your soul, that gives you joy to keep going. All of that stuff is connected. But if we're some kind of way off just a little bit with the timing, it's over. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, it's so subtle. This is so very, very subtle how he creeps in unawares.
Right.
This is subtle.
But
we have to be aware. That's a good point. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Hands down. So then it goes back to the why. I think you came in after I start talking about the why. One of the things is these are, when you look at moeds, these are appointed times. And I was sharing that the key is, and I believe Yah is doing this just like he did before in the first Exodus. He told everybody to go into your dwelling. See, because what's happening is we're forgetting why it's an appointed time and who we're meeting. It's not about us meeting, because the awakening started doing that and all kind of craziness was going on. Because they hadn't, each individual, you know what's beautiful? You know those drones that they have, those swarm drones? Mm-hmm. That's what we've got to become. Oh, nice. We got to connect to the signal that the swarm drones are they all, the one thing they got in common is they're connected to the source. They connected to what's causing them to go. It's not about agreement with the drone right next to you. If you're connected to, if that drone is connected to the same source that drone is connected to, they are going to agree and they're going to move like they need to move. and they're gonna do the great feats that these people do with these drones that we supposed to do. And that's what I believe Yah is getting us to that place, because people have made the assembly an idol and lost greatly because they've made the assembly. And I'm not against gathering, because as you read those things, so they are convocations, but because we still got our inner Christian, we slip into wickedness, because he told us, do not serve me like
As the
they
heathens
serve
do.
me, like the
Mhm.
heathens do.
Mhm.
So we just kind of slide back into what we used to, and it becomes church 2.0. So if he needs us to get together, and that's why I was trying to say earlier, even with Ren, hey, don't look to me. Don't look to me. If your eyes, I need to be a confirmation, and there's nothing like that confirmation when you done heard something from Yah in private, and it's confirmed when you get with your brothers. There's a connection to your brothers that's different, whether you see each other every day or not. See, one of the things that we've missed is this, we've gotten into is this instead of interdependency, codependency. And
That's
we'll
too
trade
different.
that. And our inner desire, one of the most greatest desires of all human beings, is to be accepted somewhere. But to be accepted by Yah will cause you to be able to walk this path alone. Come on, Cain.
I just wanted to clarify. So we're saying after Passover and unleavened bread, there are 2 50-day periods.
Yes. You count 7 weeks. Hence, you get the first fruits and feast of weeks. Then you count 50 days, which is your Pentecost.
So after unleavened bread, on that first Shabbat after unleavened bread,
Uh-huh.
you count 7 weeks. And then after that 7th week, that first day, you count another 50 days.
Okay.
So it's after
unleavened bread?
after unleavened bread,
Mhm.
there's 7 weeks,
Right.
then another 7 weeks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sorry. See, this is why you need more than one thing, one set of eyes. So from unleavened bread, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. First fruits. Then you go to that next Shabbat
But
and count 50 days. Okay.
okay.
1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. And then that 50 will be here. I got it on here wrong. Will be right here.
Okay.
So I hadn't planned out the whole year. But so July 14th will be Shavuot. And again, what it's got to, by 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. You can take, again, the timelines from Genesis of our Exodus, match it to that, because we going back to Yah's patterns. Remember Yah's patterns. That's why we say it's got to be the daytime. If he starts his year when the light begins to wax and be greater, he's going to do the same thing for the day, right? Well, if he did the timeline with us being delivered from Egypt, and you go further back from that, if he did the same timeline when with Noah, with the flood, to where Noah landed on that on the new year.
Mhm.
You got those witnesses there. And I haven't even gone into the fact that Adam handled the feast days.
Okay.
Yeah, that's text regarding that. So, but yeah, y'all. So yeah, that's it. So but we clear right here.
The question that I just asked, yes.
Okay. Cool beans. Cool to the beans. Any other questions? Anybody else? Any other additions? Adding to them? All right. Westside Johnsons. Any additions? Hannah, y'all?
No, everything's good over here.
All right.
Be good, bro.
All right.
Just trying to stay warm.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Miss Johnson, you good? All right. All right. Cool to the beans. Let me see. We're looking at that's 3 hours. Okay, I didn't go down again. So you straight, Ma?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well, grandfather, he listening?
Now the game on,
Oh, the Texans.
honey. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Oh, I had Kyrie in. Kyrie sent me a message. Hey, Kyrie. Yeah, I didn't see. I missed her. Well, oh, there she is. Okay. Miss Fletcher. Zoe, you have anything? You have anything to add? Yes, never, yeah. How come you didn't unmute yourself?
I didn't want to, cause it was part of my original thought when I was asking, cause I'm one of these people that I don't just go right directly to I gotta get some information first and then scroll down to it. Yeah, so it was the same. It was just that same thing. My husband brought it out. I just wanted that same information. That I just wanted to get the clarification that there's Pesach, unleavened bread, 7 weeks, first fruits, 50 days, Pentecost. That's all.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was
Picking up
all.
on her because her question was up there and didn't get acknowledged, so I just jumped out there.
Okay. I didn't see it. Forgive me. I did not see it.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Lane say, as a car should. All right, y'all. If that's it, I'll when I download the video, I'll upload it to up to the YouTube. I don't have a YouTube channel. I just put it up there in order for me to be able to put it in REN or whatnot. But it's something that to be able to go back and a reference, a reference and to share with folks who coming in, because again, it was to be a quick little overview on the how basic it is. We didn't get into a lot of the meaning of each of the feast days, but this is just establishing our why we doing the feast days and establishing, scriptural context. And we didn't go through all the scripture because it was getting, it was getting long or whatnot. So, but yeah, again, if send me your, yes, and yeah, put on your, see, I'm country. Yeah, they cloning humans. Pionia, glad to have you.
Thank you.
And you didn't say nothing. You didn't ask nothing. I see you got your paper.
I know.
Paper.
Because I write a lot of notes. Like I have a
Okay.
lot of notes.
Okay.
And so I was telling my mom, like, I was already beginning the journey of learning the feast of Yah. And I was just weaving some things out. So when she told me this morning that you was having a Zoom meeting, I jumped on it because I'm like, this is perfect. Because
Okay.
I'm still learning, the feast, so I can tell my children more about it. So that way we can celebrate and be more in tune with
Yeah.
this feast. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool beans. Well, all right. So again, when I send that, matter of fact, if y'all want to be on on that calendar that I have, you can do that. Send the email and we'll send it out to you. We'll put you on the in the list to get that and everything. So, all right. All right, everybody. May Yah be with you. Enjoy the rest of your visitation, because that's what this is. And I hope it was beneficial. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're
Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
It's good to see everybody's face. Peace and blessings.
Toda. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Right, Shalom.